Hello people, welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Today we're going to be running through the mid-weekly update of what's going on, transfer links and where we're at. So there's not been loads of firm, interesting players that we know of. It's obviously a Paratici window and we've kind of got used to being linked with the world and his mate. Nobody else has obviously come in. We've had the outgoings. Obviously, Joe Hart's gone to Celtic. Alfie Whiteman has now gone on loan to Swedish side Degerfors IF. That'll be a good loan for him if he does go in as their first choice goalkeeper. He obviously got decent minutes in pre-season. Looks a good prospect for the future. Dennis Sirkin, he's obviously left as well. He's gone to Sunderland. Now, this is a permanent transfer, one I wasn't expecting for the 19-year-old left-back. I mean, he looked decent in our under-23 side, played a decent chunk of football last season for the under-23s in the Premier League 2. I mean, I thought he looked fairly good. Obviously, he's got competition. Ben Davies is still around, but I should imagine not for many more seasons. Then you got Reguilon and Sessegnon, which means Sirkin is quite far back on that. I'm surprised we didn't just send him out on loan just to see how he develops, because we don't know what's going to happen with regards to Sessegnon and Reguilon in the future. So I felt it would have been sensible to hang on to him for a little bit longer, loan him out, make a bit of money off him that way. However, I think him and his agent and family have made the decision that he needs first team football and needs to really build a name for himself. So good luck to him. I do wish him well. Looked like a good talent. I'm sure he'll do really good things at Sunderland. So let's move into transfer stories. For those of you that wanted to see Eric Dier go out the door, I'm not sure it's going to happen. Based on the fact that he's worn the captain's armband in a few games, he has done his interview in-house with Spurs, and he kind of looks set to stay. Based on the interview on the site, he was saying that he feels like it's a new chapter at the club, you know, with the new manager, the change in styles, philosophies, things that are going on. He said that he's very excited about it. And he was mentioning about his close relationships of the past, saying that he was close with Christian Eriksen, Jan Vertonghen, and he said now Coco has gone. So for those of you that aren't aware, Coco is Eric Lamela. You know, and he said ever since he's been at Spurs, he's known Eric Lamela. Eric Lamela was a Spurs man to him. So, you know, it's a changing of the guard. And from the way he's talking, it looks like he doesn't feel like he's going anywhere anytime soon. He understands that he's had a poor couple of seasons. He's obviously adjusting to life as a centre-back again after spending so much time in midfield. Look, maybe Nuno can get the best of him. In a back three, I've got no problems with him staying. But if we play with two centre-backs, that's where my problem comes in. Moving on to strikers. Apparently, our representatives have met with, or are meeting with, Vlahovic's agent just to see if a deal is actually feasible. Obviously, Fiorentina want a lot of money for him. We're not going to want to pay that much. So I don't know where that's going to go. He does look a good striker. He had a good season last season, but it's just the one breakout season. Is he a one-season wonder? We know Harry Kane wasn't. So I'm not going to write him off just yet, but it's going to be a big fee, and obviously if we're going to sell Harry Kane, people are going to know we've got money in the bank, so we're going to get charged more for players. We did have supposedly a deal agreed for Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan. Somewhere in the region of 60 million was accepted. Then Inter obviously sold Lukaku to Chelsea for 100 million, which meant they weren't so desperate for the money. So that one's kind of on the back burner, but there is rumours saying that we're still trying to push that deal through. Now, Inter aren't going to want to lose both their big-name strikers in one transfer window. So unless they can get somebody else in, then I can't see that one happening. However, we are still looking to try and push a deal through for that after supposedly having a deal accepted. But this could work in our favour, actually. With Chelsea signing Lukaku, this then means we can't sign Martinez, which effectively means we can't afford to sell Kane to Manchester City unless we can get another big name striker in. So it could actually do us a favour in the long run. What else? Paratici apparently has made contact to Sporting Lisbon for midfielder Palhinha. Now, we spoke about him earlier on in the transfer window. It was actually during the Euros that this is somebody we're possibly looking at. He had a couple of decent appearances. in the Euros for Portugal. He's 26 years old. He has a huge release clause, but apparently that's not a problem because he could be available for as little as 14 million. Now, I think for 14 million, he's worth a punt. Obviously, we've got to get players out the door first. I'm talking, Sissoko needs to go now. Possibly Harry Winks, but we'll talk about him in a bit. Nuno apparently is a huge admirer of him. He's a 6'3" powerhouse. He averaged 3.3 tackles per 90 minutes in the centre of the park in the league last season. Now, that's more than any other Spurs player last season in the Premier League. So, in that sense, it's an improvement. I mean, I do feel like Skippy could offer something in that aspect, but obviously he's not as tall, so aerial duels are something he's not going to win as much as maybe Palhinha would. Harry Redknapp has said that a Spurs insider, who he won't name, told him that they expect Harry Kane to stay at Spurs next season. They feel Daniel Levy will not budge from the price that he wants, which he said was somewhere between 130, 160 million. I mean, the fee seems to change every day. But apparently he reckons he's going to be stubborn. He's not going to allow him to leave. We then heard from a different source, apparently a new contract was a possibility. I mean, it's quite laughable, really. He wants to go. His holiday is all of a sudden extended. Now there could be a new contract. Then we're hearing again today that Manchester City are confident they'll be able to get a deal for Harry Kane over the line. I mean, I have no idea what's going on. Your guess is as good as mine, but we are looking at strikers. I don't even know if that's strikers to come in to be his replacement. It could be strikers to play alongside him. Nuno is known to play with two strikers. It could be somebody to come into the squad to give him a breather every now and again, or to play in some of the cup games. I mean, it's kind of like a similar situation if you remember back when Wayne Rooney was looking to leave Manchester United. He said the club weren't being ambitious enough. So what Manchester United did that summer was go out and sign a ton of high-quality players to convince Wayne Rooney to stay, and he ended up staying. This could be a similar thing where we're trying to prove a point, which is why we haven't made loads of signings yet. We're trying to get them right by looking at all the possible deals available to us. But we'll see. Another link is Dennis Zakaria from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Looks a decent player. I think the money we're being quoted, I don't know what the exact fee is, but it's more than I would want to pay for him. I feel like he's got potential. But there are better players available out there for better prices. He's a Swiss international. He's set to be a free agent at the end of next season, which really you would think would bring his fee right down. And if it is going to be a low fee, again, like Palhinha, this could be worth a punt. The usual links of people like Vestergaard. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is somebody that has been touted in the press this week. Again, don't think it's going to happen. I think Calvert-Lewin would only be interested in coming to us if Harry Kane is sold. I don't think he'd want to come in to play either with him or second fiddle, because that's going to just destroy his chances of getting into the England squads in the future, and other players will jump ahead of him. Joaquin Correa, his name has popped up again this week, so we won't talk about him because we spoke about him previously. The random one that popped up this week has been linked with West Ham a lot in the last couple of weeks is Martin Brathwaite. He looked okay at the Euros, obviously plays for Barcelona, which has probably given him a wealth of experience. Not somebody I'd be getting excited about. I feel like he was just somebody in at Barcelona that offered certain things that they wanted in terms of would hold up the ball, would release it onto players like Messi, would just kind of fit in tidily with their 11 as one of their 11 on the pitch. So no one that I would get excited about whatsoever. Looked okay in the Euros, but isn't going to set the world alight. And that's what we need. I don't feel like we need a striker to come in as kind of a squad player. We need somebody to come in and tear it up. With regards to the Tomiyasu deal, we hadn't really heard anything for a while other than we were still talking in the background. Now today, there has been several reports come through, especially in the last couple of hours, that we had actually agreed a fee. So there was reports that we were a few million apart. Apparently we've agreed somewhere in the region of 17, 18 million. The thing that's holding up the deal is how that money is going to be paid. So, as we know, Daniel Levy loves to find ways of making it financially viable for us. The Romero deal is obviously going to be paid in instalments over a period of time, and I believe that is where the quibbles are coming in. Bologna are obviously going to want more money up front, as we all would. Every club would want more money up front. So I think he's trying to find a way of giving them a sum that they would be happy with up front, but without hurting us too much, so we can pay some over a timescale. So by the looks of it, this deal is probably going to happen. I mean, don't take my word for it. If it doesn't happen, don't blame me. But I think we'll get it over the line. I think Daniel's just trying to look at the best financial solution for us first of all. And then if not, I think he might just up it a little bit. But he's not going to be pushed into a corner to hurry it over the line. Ryan Sessegnon, he is back in training. He's posted on his Twitter, glad to be back, or Instagram, some form of social media. He's back. Will we see him Sunday? I don't know. I hope so, in some capacity, at least on the bench would be nice. James Ward-Prowse is probably the biggest player we've been linked with after the Martinez deal. So James Ward-Prowse is an interesting one because at the moment I see him as an upgrade on Harry Winks. There's similarities between them. One thing we've been missing since Christian Eriksen, not just since he's left, but even before he left, he had a woeful time with his set pieces. Couldn't clear first men on free kicks with crossing. Certainly wasn't scoring many at all. Whereas in his first couple of seasons, he was banging them in for fun. Now, Ward-Prowse is a set ball specialist. We could really do with someone like him. If Harry Kane stays, we might finally get him off free kicks because that's the biggest area of Harry Kane's game that he needs to work on. He's a pro at everything else. Free kicks, meh. Eric Dier's not bad at free kicks, but certainly not a dead ball specialist. Ward-Prowse would offer us that. He offers good strength on the ball, good passing ability. I feel like he's just a little bit of an upgrade on Winksy. The problem will be price. I feel like we'll get priced out of this one. Maybe they're looking at somewhere in the region of 40 million for him. If they're interested in Winks, we could possibly do a swap deal. I don't know. Obviously, we'd have to whack some more money on top of that because at the moment, Ward-Prowse is closer to the international setup than Winksy is. He's playing more regularly. He's got better stats because of that. So that'll be an interesting one. Although Winksy apparently wants to stay and fight at Tottenham. He's very happy there. Another midfielder, Oliver Skipp. Now, I've spoke about my opinions on whether he should go on loan or stay. And if we bring in another central midfielder, I would tell him to go on loan. Personally, the selfish side of me wants him to stay at Tottenham and sit on the bench and come off and help us as and when he can, because I feel like he'll be a massive asset. However, he's played a lot in pre-season, so without knowing Nuno's thoughts, I don't know where to go with this one. Is he only playing him because he hasn't got another central midfielder to play ahead of him? Obviously, Ndombele apparently isn't quite ready yet, although he's looking nice and trim and in good shape. So I can only assume the Ndombele thing is down to feeling a bit unsettled about the possibility of Sissoko and Aurier going, and the fact that he's just had a child. Remember, guys, he has had a child, so let's just stop digging him out. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes with him. There must be something. But yeah, Skippy's been having good game time. He's played very, very well, and I wouldn't be worried if we played him in the Premier League. You know he's going to give the energy. He's going to fight for 19 minutes, and I feel like he can be that box-to-box midfielder that we don't have. Højbjerg very much could be a box-to-box midfielder, but I think Skippy's got it in his locker to do it better. Obviously, Højbjerg is great defensively, and he is quite technical. Let's not forget, he had a stint at Bayern Munich. He's not a bad player. I just think Skippy gives a bit more in that up and down. We saw it towards the end of his loan spell at Norwich. He got more and more responsibility in the middle of the park and really grew into it. However, if he's going to be a bit part player, I'd rather he goes on loan and really plies his trade and plays nearly every game or every game again. And he will come back an even better player. The more game time this kid gets, the more beneficial it is to us in the long term. In the short term, keeping him next season is going to be a great thing, but it could end up holding him back. And that's kind of happened with Winksy. He had like breakthrough seasons and then kind of ended up staying, and he was in and out the side as we were signing players. And let's not forget, like inside Winksy, there is a great player. We're talking about the same guy that tore Real Madrid apart. You know, there's a real player in there. So it'd be interesting psychologically to see what's going on as to why he's not performing. Because it's not down to ability. The guy has the ability. Is it self-belief? Were those comments after the Real Madrid game just too much for him? And, you know, he kind of went into his shell a bit? I don't know. But there's a player in there. Another player we've been linked with, apparently, is Pau Torres from Villarreal. So he's a centre-back, 24 years old. Very good defender. Villarreal obviously had a good season last season. And it's a weird one. They're saying that, where I was talking about the whole Wayne Rooney situation with signing players, this is the sort of signing they're talking about as a marker to lay it down for Harry Kane to say, look, we're serious. Especially with someone like Romero coming in. Again, don't know if this one is going to happen. It's just kind of a name. The other one, and probably the last link, is Ismaila Sarr from Watford. Apparently they want big money for him. And I think we're going to get priced out of that. And I don't really think it's worth paying 40, 50 million. I think it might be 50 million that we've been quoted, or the number that's being touted about that Watford want. I can't see it happening for that money. He's got Premier League experience. He played well in the Championship last season. I'm just not sure on that one. Good player though, great pace, good strength. He's essentially a better Adama Traore. Not as strong, obviously, because the guy's a beast, but he's got a bit more final product to him than Adama Traore has. So I can understand the links, considering apparently Nuno was looking at bringing Adama Traore over to Spurs. So I kind of get that. Similar styles of player, and it'd be somebody to really battle Lucas Moura for that position out on the wing. However, as I've said before, I would rather Moura plays in as a number 10. And that would allow that to happen. Although Bergwijn has looked better, his confidence is coming back. So do we need Ismaila Sarr? We're just going to end up in a position again where we've got too many wingers for the sake of having the wingers. Because obviously Bryan Hill has come back. He's had his first training with the players. You can see that up on either through the Spurs website or the official YouTube channel. So after this, feel free to go check it out, have a look at him. With regards to the Man City game up and coming, there is a possibility Romero's not going to make it for that game. We know that he had a slight knock when he came back from the Copa America. He has been working with the team. He's done some individual work. I think he's been involved in some kind of elements with the other players. But, I mean, personally, I wouldn't risk him anyway. If there's a worry he's not quite ready, I wouldn't risk aggravating the injury further and then us being without him for a period of time. So do expect to see Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dier as a centre-back partnership for that game. I mean, Joe Rodon got some minutes in the last game. So, I mean, if it was me going up against Man City, knowing that we haven't signed the players we want, and the fact that there's going to be some niggling injuries, I would personally play Dier, Sanchez and Carter Vickers, or Dier, Sanchez and Rodon. I would go for that back three because we do have enough attacking talent at fullback. I mean, Tanganga could certainly play on one side and he could hold his own on the right. And then obviously you've got Reguilon on the other side, or Sessegnon, or use both of them. Give them a bit of game time each, keep it fresh down that side. Start with Reguilon and then bring Sessegnon into the game later when the Man City players start to tire. I mean, even on the right side, I would start with Tanganga for a bit more defensive stability and then change it up maybe for Aurier or Doherty later in the game, just to add a bit more of an attacking threat. And that's the way I'd go with that. And I know a few of you are going to have your eyebrows raised saying, did he say Carter Vickers? And yes, I did. For that reason, in a back three, I actually think Carter Vickers would be excellent. Yes, he hasn't got the pace, but he's great in the air. He pretty much wins every single header he goes up for, and he's fairly good on the ball. He's good at timing his tackles. In a back three, that's where Carter Vickers will really shine for a Tottenham side. I don't think in a back two he's ever going to work for Tottenham just because he's not quick enough. And unless you've got someone next to him that's lightning for a centre-back, I just can't see his future at Spurs. And he has been linked with many other clubs, but nothing has come in. He's not gone. And certainly with the possibility that Tanganga could end up going out on loan, if we don't get the other centre-backs in, Carter Vickers is a very good backup option. Now, I'm more of a fan of him than most Spurs fans because you haven't really seen a lot of him. But if you watch him in the Championship, he's played very well. I'm not saying he's Premier League quality, not in a back two. In a back three, it could work, and Nuno has operated in a back three before. But in terms of all of that, we'll just quickly talk. Harry Kane, is it going to happen? Isn't going to happen? Look, I don't know. There's been so many conflicting stories, but whatever happens, I think we'll be okay, because we've looked at plenty of strikers that could possibly come in, not to replace him, because he's kind of irreplaceable, but there'll be plenty of people that could do a job. We've got goals in the team with Moura and Sonny. Lo Celso needs to contribute more. Bergwijn, once he gets his confidence up and running, should be a goal scorer for us. So I'm not overly worried, as long as defensively we sort ourselves out, because at the end of the day, all you have to do is score more than the other team. So if defensively we're going to be solid, and I'm not talking pragmatic here and hitting people on the counter, I'm talking just defensively solid in those moments where we lose the ball and teams come onto us, as long as we can score one goal, we're fine. You only have to win 1-0. Obviously, we want to see attractive football, right, at the end of the day. But against the bigger teams, Man City, I'd take a boring game at 1-0. I really would. So, yeah, I still don't know whether Kane's going to go. Look, I want him to stay. I would love him to stay. But I've just got this niggling feeling that he's going to manage to push a deal through to get to Man City. There'll be something, okay? But that's it for today. Hopefully we get something more over the line. The next video I'm going to get out to you will be Saturday. That is a promise. So, yeah, we're Thursday today. I like to get them out on either a Wednesday or a Thursday, because by then enough has happened. So, yeah, hopefully I'll get one out to you Saturday. We'll have a conversation then. And then we'll talk again after the Man City game, because we'll know how we've got on and kind of where we're at in that sense. But do expect that whatever happens in that game is not the be-all and end-all, because the transfer window will still be open. There's still deals to be done. Players have still got to come in and gel into the squad and integrate. So, I mean, it'll be a good indicator of where we're at now, but it's certainly not the be-all and end-all, all right? So, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Get the conversation going between you, what you think of all the players I've spoken about today. Talk about any more links you may know that I may have missed over the course of the days. Some of them I may have just left out because they're not going to happen at all. They're just so far-fetched, it's unbelievable. I tend to just leave them ones unless they're comical. So, yeah, like, subscribe, and comment. Get the conversations going. Stay safe. And as always, guys, come on you Spurs.